advised, 41-year-old male who's conscious breathing, lump on the head.
Like, I don't have children, but I do have a wife, and I have family and parents that love me and everything, but they talk about truly unconditional love, and there is no love like a dog has for you. I mean, and you reciprocate that because it's really the only way that you can coexist with one.
You give them this praise, you get on the ground, you act crazy, you know, you do things that you would do with your baby, you know, you do goofy things.
When you start talking about the kind of bond that you have with your dog, when you're with him literally 24/7 almost in some cases, it really is a stirring emotional thing because there's really not a stronger bond than that. They don't call it man's best friend for nothing. It's just amazing that you have that kind of bond with any person, and but especially a dog. It is truly amazing.
They're just like part of our family, just like one of my kids.
This is my boy. This is trying to like wrangle a 4-year-old.
My name is Scott Hedrick. I'm with the Columbia Police Department K9 unit. I've had Yurik from March or April of 2010 until now. Almost a year. He just likes to please. Some of the guys call him the big baby because he likes to be pet and he's a lover boy and things like that, but he actually is a really good canine.
I've been here almost 13 years. When I started off, there's 2 things that I wanted to do in my career as a police officer, at least that's what I thought. One was being on a SWAT team, and the second was being a canine handler. I've always liked dogs, I've always had them. So about 3 or 4 years into my career, I got picked to go undercover. We would go and have people coming to do different narcotic deliveries and set people up and things like that. And the highway patrol would bring their dog. We'd watch them, and it was just fascinating. And I was like, when I get done, I was like, I need to push to try to work a dog.
Where is it? Where is it? Show me. Show me. Show me. Show me. Probably, if they were a person, they would be the closest person in my life, for sure. My name is Officer Rob Sanders. I am recently a canine handler for about the last year. I can very vividly remember seeing the first canine work up close. After I saw that, I'm like, man, that's the job for me. I've just got to have it. But the minute that you see it, it's almost like dancing with a dog. You know, I mean, it's really interesting. And I remember him working the dog and everything, and just watching it and thinking, man, that is just the ultimate. And it's taken me about 18 or 19 years to do it, and I finally arrived, so I'm pretty happy about it.
I was lucky. My first and second time, I got both the dogs that I wanted. And I suited best with Yurik, and I liked his attitude, and I thought it would fit in with my family as well as my work and what we do. I had a high drive dog before, and Fano, who's Rob's dog, was a little bit more drive that I thought wouldn't fit for the family purpose, but it'd still be a good dog. So I picked Yurik, and then the next go around is when Rob got his dog, Fano. And that's the dog actually he wanted, so they are very perfect for each other.
I just really grew to like Fano. And at first, what was really funny was I didn't like the dog. He worked awesome in his test and probably had one of the best tests. But at the same time, I didn't like his size. He was tiny compared to the others. I thought his head was too small. And he had a really funny puppy coat that it just didn't look healthy-ish, you know. And so I continued to think, God, I like the working dog, but I didn't like anything else about him. But the day we left, he jumped up in the snow and broke my watch band in about the first 30 seconds that I was around the dog. And I remember thinking then, yeah, he's going to be destructive, but I really like this dog. You know, his personality is just so in your face. And 43 minutes into my first shift, an officer called me for a canine sniff. And I thought, here we go, here's the big time. And of course, all the butterflies and nerves of really doing this, and get to the car, and the guy has refused consent. So the only thing that we can rely on is my dog's nose at this point. And the dog hits, and of course there's that initial, is he messing with me? They tell you, trust your dog, trust your dog, trust your dog. So I trusted my dog, and I put the dog in the car, and he, within just a few minutes, he indicated. And I thought, well, that's just weird. He winds up kind of nosing the area again, and he moved some papers over, and there was crack cocaine in the seat. And so I real quick threw the toy and got him out so he didn't obviously get into it. But I was so shocked and so proud, because I thought, man, that has got to be some record someplace,
We think of them as our dogs. We'll say we call them our boys. We care for them and take care of them, and we presume they're our own. Because at the end of their career, if they don't die on duty or don't have a career-ending injury, and they do make it to retirement, they become ours. Which the deal is that we've put all this time and effort into them. We've built the bond with them. We've loved them. We've done everything with them. They just become ours. But in the back of your mind, that if something happened, one of those unforeseeable accidents, something happened, and that you were no longer a canine officer, that he goes, the car goes, the whole thing goes, and they could take all the equipment. It's the dog that you build a bond with. Sacrifices of being a canine officer are mostly personal. You're away from your family for the initial 9 weeks, and then you have to keep up with the training monthly. To keep your dog up to speed, you have to train all the time, and it seems, I'm sure, from a families and kids and wives' perspective, that you end up spending more time with your dog than you do with them, and it's just one of those relationships that sometimes wives, girlfriends, families just don't quite understand.
Most police dogs don't make very good downtime dogs, if you will, because their life and their goal and their mission is to do nothing but work every second.
And most people generalize, and even I think our command staff generalizes it as some lap dog or house dog that they let outside, and they can tell him to sit or roll over and things like that, and it's not like that. I mean, it keeps going on. There's so much that we have to do with these dogs, from tracking to article searches and searching for children, that it's different than a track for a suspect that might fight at the end where he gets bit.
And believe me, there's been frustrating things that have come up, even in the year that I've been in, departmental issues that, make you want to scream, make you want to stomp your feet, make you want to walk out and quit. But I go back to the bond and think, there's no way I'm leaving my buddy, I mean, to leave him, there just isn't any way. In January, I thought he had bronchitis. He wound up not having bronchitis, but had pneumonia, and wound up had, they call it aspiration pneumonia, when you inhale something into your lungs. He had broken off a canine tooth and inhaled it into his lung, and they thought he was going to have surgery. They weren't sure he's still going to be a working dog. It was a traumatic experience, only for me, because he really didn't care. He was just feeling a little bad. Yeah, you want to see the blood on it? That's from his tooth issue that I'm quite certain a while ago that I heard him messing with the car. Yeah. And I don't know if he was doing it while you were in there or not, but he keeps breaking that one area open, doing ignorant stuff in there. But that's what makes him him. Seen fathers and their kids, when they're playing with their kids and they eat after their kids, or they see all kinds of slobber or whatever. Mm-hmm. What you just witnessed is about the same thing, Quiet.
We stand ready for the bad stuff that happens. We're not one of those people that dwell on, is today, one of those days, or what ifs, things like that. We are just always ready.
I would say it takes a special person to be a police officer. It takes an extra special person to be a canine handler.
You have to be an emotionally strong person and be able to handle a lot of, the stress and physical and mental part of it, because when I signed up for this, I signed up and I'm like, I love dogs, it can't be that much different. This is a whole different game. This reality of having a canine is just, it never stops. It's 24/7 because you have him, he's yours. If he gets out from your house and you're breaking him, and the neighbor kid drives by on his bicycle, all that you have to worry about. Who are you going to leave him with when you go on vacation? He's like an extension of my family. Do I do right on the street? What if I let him go the wrong time? What if I send him on a guy and he misses the guy and he targets somebody else, runs in traffic and gets run over? I mean, we have all these worries and things that go along with being a canine handler. And then all that goes on, and in my mind, I'm thinking those are the massive things. You know, I send my dog, he goes after somebody and he gets killed. You know, or I send him on a guy to save somebody's life and somebody kills him. You know, that's the ultimate sacrifice. But you never think about your dog injures his spine and you have to put him to sleep. And I mean, for days, man, that was devastating. It was like having to put one of my kids to sleep, you know?
My first dog was, his name was Nitro. He was a solid black shepherd from the Netherlands. He was searching a car for officers for narcotics and jumped up on the rear door to sniff real high on the door seam. And during that process, his sacrum slipped and twisted to the right in his spine and pinched the nerves in his right back leg. At the time, we just thought he twisted a knee or a foot, and he kind of yelped. And being a strong-willed dog and things like that, he didn't want to act like he was injured. So I ended up taking him to the vet. We gave him, you know, the normal things for a twisted hip, things like that, or a knee. And the percentage of police dogs living through this, most of the time they make it about 6-8 months before breaking those pins. And so I ended up taking Nitro home, and we retired him. I had to make the hardest decision to put him to sleep. He went out of this world with a fight on. So we had to muzzle him to work it all through. And then you got 3 guys standing in there, and you got 2 vet guys that, you know, part of their job is to humanely put dogs to sleep for people that are too old and things like that. And you got this, myself standing in there, it's this SWAT guy and canine guy, and everybody's standing there crying. It was tough. I mean, it was tough.
If it comes down to him losing his life to save mine or another officer, I mean, that is what he is there for, and he is replaceable where a life is not. And you kind of hate to hear that, but it is kind of part of the job, and you have to keep that mental focus about you and about that situation. So, you know, it would hurt like hell, but at the same time, you know, you have to keep it in perspective with that, you know. And if he does nothing but distract somebody, distracts the aim off of me, distracts their focus off of me so that it gives me an extra second to get to my weapon or to do whatever, then that's his job and that's what he's there for. And quite frankly, he probably wouldn't have it any other way.
It's kind of that brotherhood bond that, you know, if you spend time with full-time SWAT teams or military units, that bond is there so they rely on you, and you rely on this dog to save your life and the other lives of officers or civilians that might need it. So it's a big sacrifice. You have to want it really bad to stay with it and be a canine officer. And the rewards at the end outweigh those sacrifices by a ton. But
There's multiple reasons why I like doing this job, but as of lately, this job saved my life, and the guys that I worked with saved my life. When my kidneys failed, there was guys from the SWAT team that put their names in to be transplant donors for me. There was a whole bunch of guys that put in, and they were all positive matches, that except for one guy, and that I could have taken. And my friend gave me a kidney, and that's why I'm still on the street today. But that one time when you help one person, you know, if you make a difference on that one person, that's really why you do this job.
when I go home, I'm the guy that hunts and fishes and takes my kids places, does things like that. I'm just a normal guy when I go home. And when I put this uniform on, I'm that same guy. You know, I wave and smile at people even if they give me the finger when they drive by, you know. I'll still wave and smile because I think it's fun.
If you can imagine working 18 years in a career that you really, really loved, and then culminating in that ultimate dream of being able to work a dog on the street and be with an animal and make that part of your job, it's just fantastic. I mean, it is the perfect icing on the cake of a great career or a fun career. This is probably the final chapter that I'm writing in my career, and what a way to go out. Just feeling like I hung the moon kind of thing every day going into work. It's fantastic. And again, you know, if you're having a bad day or whatever, there's no way that dog's not going to put you in a better mood.